the fact that the federal government approved $500 million, not to loan this time, contract for CCEC to supply the rolling stock for Lagos to Ibadan. What have we done with the contract? We told them you cannot produce all these things in China. Produce 15%. That was my idea. Produce 15% in China. The rest, 85%, can be assembled in Nigeria. So they are building a factory in Kajola. If you come from Ogun State, you know there's a place called Kajola, right? They are building a factory in Kajola. The factory in Kajola will start this year to assemble this rolling stock, locomotives, coaches, and all that. They will produce the medicine in China and bring them here for us to assemble. Now, after 5 years, they are expected to start manufacturing or fabricating locomotives and coaches and wagons in Nigeria. But the problem, according to them, is the market. Will Nigeria have enough rail to consume that? Will the West African countries have enough rail to consume what they produce? That's their problem. But, well, so far, the agreement is that you produce 15% in China, and the rest, 85%, will be assembled in Nigeria, and that will start this year. CCC's argument is that the agreement we had is Lagos to Kano. I said no. I agree with them that Lagos to Ibadan, they will build a university for us to train our own children, so that in 15, 20 years, we don't need to import anymore. We can build our own trade. You see, Nigeria is among the countries in Africa that the engineers that construct roads are not Nigerians. Or the contractors that construct roads are not, the engineers may be Nigerians. The contractors that construct roads are not Nigerians. They are foreigners. But if you look at it very well, they use Nigerian engineers. All they do is put one white man and one Chinese there, and then be watching again. So it's about discipline. It's about discipline. For me, I believe that in 15, 20 years, we should begin to produce our own coaches, our own locomotives, and construct our own tracks, rail tracks. And the way to do it is to start now to train our own engineers. Again, it was a part of the contract. I pushed for it, that they should train our children overseas in China. So they started with the first 60 or so that left. I know it was scandalous. All of you were writing about it. Nobody has thought that it was not part of the contract. So you can't hold CCCC accountable for how they decide to recruit those people. So the first set of 60 or 70 are in China, undergoing a first degree course in different fields of railway engineering. And that set was expected to leave in February. I don't know, maybe CCCC didn't deem it necessary to make them leave. He said the university said no, they won't take them in February, they will take them in September. So again, Pam said, don't forget that I had an agreement with CCCC, though not in writing, that the remaining, because we said 150 or 300, I can't remember, 150. The remaining 70 or 80 of them will leave this year September. So we need to recruit those 70 or 80 and hand over to CCC to take overseas. Part of the contract that is smelling around, but I don't think we've negotiated it, is that these students should not come back after their first degree. That they should do a master's degree and possibly take them to Europe for a PhD. If CCC said they won't pay, let the ministry pay for it. Why am I saying that? They become the core of lecturers that will teach in our transport universities, so that they can train others. When they just come back now and they join railway, they are finished. We won't have the lecturers. But if you take them for a master's degree, take them for a PhD, when they come back, you say, don't go to railway, go to the university and teach. That's my idea, but I don't know who will be the Minister for Transport. It's up to him to decide what happens after I've left. So that's railway, unless I'm forgetting anything again. Okay, the next one is it's very tricky. I was reading it this morning. The narrow gauge. I thought by now it's one thing I would have ticked that we achieved, because we started quite early. But the concession is beginning to have problems. The first problem we had was GE. GE ran into huge problem in their listing that GE has broken down. They've sold their transport department, they've sold a lot of their companies. So they said, okay, they will hand over to Transnet. If you're following South African politics, you know that Transnet has a problem now, right? How many of you know that Transnet has a problem? So it's telling on the narrow gauge engagement that we have not concluded it, that a volume of documents they just pushed across to us now. But before leaving, I have commenced conversation with a Russian company. I hope people who says, look, we can do it without anybody. If it's $2.7 billion, we can raise the money and do the narrow gauge. But you need to revive the narrow gauge independent of government, because it is narrow gauge that you have 3,505 kilometers. And so it goes to more places than the standard gauge. Before you can get 3,505 kilometers of standard gauge, you will have spent like 36 billion. So it's good to rehabilitate the narrow gauge and make it work while you're gradually building up the standard gauge. And that's the new mandate the president gave to me like 2-3 months ago. See, Amechi, focus on what you have and deliver it. So if we're able to deliver the narrow gauge, then you can reach to a lot of places in Nigeria without necessarily having to wait for the construction of standard gauge. But I don't know where we are now. I don't know where we are, because when it comes to the Transnet, will promise next week. When it comes next week, they call you, oh, we're not available this week. But I think it's something that in my handover note, the new Minister for Transport, whoever the person will be, should take on, so that he can deliver the most important thing is no longer standard gauge for me. I agree with the president. The most important thing is to deliver the narrow gauge, even though the speed is at 1,800 meters, but you will get to where you're going to. You know this time, as compared to the search for funds for the standard gauge. You also agree that there is a huge improvement in maritime. I don't know how many of you have reported maritime before this time. How many people here that were reporters in maritime? Okay, even if you are not a reporter in maritime, you will agree that when we came, Nimasa was where everybody wanted to be. Even journalists were approaching me. Okay, I want to work in Nimasa. Is anybody approaching me again? Nobody's approaching me. Why? Once I came, Dakuku, Nimasa is a regulatory authority. It has no powers to award contract. So I don't want to hear those hundreds of billions of naira contract anymore. Go and turn Nimasa into a regulatory authority. Once Dakuku turned it into a regulatory authority, is anybody coming again? Because there's no money to chop now. But before, Nimasa, is it DG or MD? I don't know what they call them. DG. We just wake up. University of Sokoto, I like you. Faculty of Maritime, they start building. He has no powers whatsoever. You saw the struggle over Okerekeko. That's why I refused. I refused to touch Okerekeko. But you see, I'm too small now. DP is more powerful than me. So he has directed that Nimasa must fund Okerekeko. And who is Minister for Transport? What to do your job? So Nimasa is funding Okerekeko. But why did I initially oppose it? It's because they have no business going to build a maritime university where nobody can go to. Nimasa has no business, it's not their responsibility. Ministry of Transport can do that, but not Nimasa. That was my argument. But as far as the Vice President was concerned, that's the demand of the Niger Delta people. Comply with it. So, and they have started already. You can't stop halfway. Well, first, Vice President is the Vice President. Second, he's more he's wiser than me. Thirdly, Professor. Fourthly, SAN. Who am I? Just tell me who to refuse. So we agree with the Vice President. We are going ahead with Okerekeko. So Nimasa is funded. But the reason for me was take away contract from Nimasa and it will fall like a pack of cards. So once we remove contract, Nimasa is busy regulating shipping, trying to find, because our register was very bad at that time. Now they're building a register that gives confidence to the international community. The next level, that after looking at how to ensure that Nimasa focused on their regulatory responsibility, is the maritime security. Our water till today is extremely bad. The Gulf of Guinea is the worst basin in the world. We're about to clean it up. We got a contract of $195 million approved by the president to ensure that we have maritime security. So they are buying the equipment. They've just arrived the seaport. They are clearing them. And I thank the Minister of Finance for giving us the waiver. We want to apply for waiver, not to pay the duties. They are bringing in 2 helicopters, I think 2 or 3 fixed-wing aircraft. I don't know whether it's a warship, but something close to that. And about 3 of those. And then 20 speedboats